Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Duquesne University Basketball Coaches Show. I'm Tim Benz. Thank you for joining us. This week, we look at the women's basketball team, and we'll start things off by looking at their victory against St. Francis at the buzzer, courtesy of our guest later on in the program, Amanda Kalin. Right now, let's paint a picture of victory over St. Francis, brought to you by Sherwin-Williams.
Wide open on the near side. Three-pointer good by Maya Hamilton is number 24, Kirsten Elliott. Fadeaway jumper, number 20, Amaya Hamilton sinks it. Kalin drives the middle, puts it up, gets it in. Long cross-court dish to McConnell for three, and an open tray is good. Nia Langley checks in for the Dukes, has a three-point shot, sinks in, passes it out. Hamilton behind the back to Kalin, 2 seconds to shoot, goes up, loose ball. Oh, she got it! She got it! Oh my goodness!
And now brought to you by Clearway Energy. It is Dan Burt, the head coach of the women's team, who authored that victory against St. Francis. Dan, good to catch up with you again. How you been?
It's great to see you, Tim. Life's good. Life is good. We're doing really well with the team. We've not had a shutdown, and our players are in a good place mentally, even going through final exams, and life's good.
Well, let's get to that, and we'll go sequentially. You guys started against Ohio State, then got the win against St. Francis. Obviously, the Ohio State game was tough for you guys, but what did you take away from that game against a team that was ranked, I believe, 20th in the country when you played them, and then applied to St. Francis?
The first thing I would say is we don't want to play any more road non-conference games
Okay.
in the middle of a pandemic. It's not fun to travel right now. You're talking to a guy who loves to travel. When we took the Ohio State game, that wasn't for money. That was to win a basketball game. And so we were very disappointed in how we performed. But we had only practiced about 8 times prior to that game. Whereas Ohio State, who tests every day and has been on campus and practicing since July 20th, they were a machine, and they were in mid-season form, and we had 7 or 8 practices, and it clearly showed in the game. When you go back and you watch the film, and I've watched the film 3 times, and my staff has also, we really didn't feel as bad about the game after watching it several times. We got a lot of the shots that we wanted. We felt that we competed in a lot of ways. And, if we could get Ohio State again in mid-January or mid-February on one of those, on the bye week or on a Wednesday, we would take that game again. We would feel pretty good about playing them again. They were just in a completely different place than us. And I think we're seeing that across Division I basketball. Some teams are in much more advanced shape and conditioning and being ready for the season, and some of us are not, and we were not. But we took the lessons learned from that, and we went up to St. Francis, who had played 2 games prior to our game, and they were ready for us, and they were a good opponent for us, a good opponent to get a win. We certainly didn't play great, but the fact that we were able to get that buzzer beater and get some notoriety with ESPN's top 10, being number 3 on the top 10 of the night, was good for our program. But by no means were we perfect that day. But again, we feel like we're taking 1% growth each day and getting better and better.
Amanda Kalin, who had that buzzer beater, 25 points, 7 rebounds along the way. So it wasn't just the big shot at the end. She was really solid for you.
Beyond just solid, I mean, like, she could get to the rim at any time that she wanted. We probably should have gone to her more. Last year, we went to Laya Soleil, the way they defended us, and Laya ended up with something like 38 points last year. This year, they decided to double Laya on every catch, and then Precious Johnson on every catch. And so we really should have gone to Amanda Kalin and our freshman Tess Myers from North Catholic, who also played well.
I was going to ask you about Tess Myers. Nice contribution off the bench from her in that one.
We were going to redshirt Tess and Meg McConnell and Lindsay Leonard, our 3 freshmen. And so far, in the time that they've played in both games, all 3 of them have been good to outstanding. And so we're really pleasantly surprised with the contributions that they're giving us. And we're going to see them playing important minutes as the season progresses.
Yeah, rebounded St. Francis 43-31. Were you happy with how you did on the boards?
We felt we could have done a better job on the boards. And then defensively in the post, we were poor. We did not do a good job there. And then we tried not to allow middle penetration from the opponent's guards, and we were not good in that way either. And so we've really emphasized that through shell drills and defensive drills throughout practice as we prepare for St. Bonaventure on Friday.
8 ties, 3 lead changes in that game against St. Francis. You guys were excellent coming out of halftime in the third quarter. I think you outscored them 24-12, and then they caught back up at the end. But what did you like about how you performed coming out of halftime, and then where were the issues in the fourth?
Coming out of halftime, we decided to not try to play 3-quarter in front of the post or front the post, and instead play behind. And that allowed us to push the post player from St. Francis up the lane, outside the lane, and make shots that are at 10 to 12 feet much more difficult for them, which is something that kid was not adept at. Whereas in the first half, they were lobbing it to her, and we did not defend that well. When we took that lead in the third quarter and St. Francis was able to come back in the fourth, it was a struggle for us to score. And we really went flat scoring the ball for about a 6 to 7 minute period of time, where I think maybe we got 1 bucket in 6 minutes. And that goes to us getting to the free throw line, which we did not do in that game at the percentage that we wanted to. We have shot the ball from the free throw line exceptionally well in both games. And it was just disappointing that we didn't get to the line a little bit more in the St. Francis game.
You mentioned Amanda Kalin and the shot that she made at the end, and how good she is at being fearless and taking the ball to the rim. You could see that on that last play. She goes up, she gets the shot block, comes right back to her. She goes right back up again, and she didn't seem to care that she was going up against 2 women who were taller than her.
Really happy for her. She's been with us for a long time, and her freshman year was really difficult because she was playing minutes for us and was going to be really a big part of our program as a freshman. And then took the knee to the thigh, which caused a pretty significant injury and limited her freshman year. And that was disappointing. The one good thing is that even though Amanda Kalin is a senior this year and is probably going to lead us in scoring throughout the year, she is going to return next year and get her master's in education, and she'll be able to play next year with us also.
Is one thing you're working on for St. Bonaventure ball security, getting the turnover number down?
It's not something that we've been overly concerned with yet, with so many limited practices and new people. When you look at it, you're playing 2 freshmen that are true freshmen in Meg McConnell and Tess Myers. Nia Langley has not played basketball in a year as she redshirted her sophomore year at the junior college where she was, and that's a whole different level of basketball. Our starting point guard, Diamond Bragg, really didn't play important, meaningful minutes when she was at Wisconsin. This is the first time she's played meaningful minutes in 2 years. So they're going to throw the ball all over the court. We know that's going to happen. And sure, we want to limit that as much as we can, but we also don't want them to become robots, and we don't want them to feel like they have to paint in the lines and go by numbers. We want them to have a little Jackson Pollock in them. We want them to throw it against the wall and have some fun with it. I really believe when kids play with some freedom and they know that I trust them and that they can make a mistake or two, as long as they're going very hard, I think that empowers them.
That's what I like about you, Dan. This might be the first coach's interview where I got a Jackson Pollock reference. That was, I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Real quickly, you got St. Bonaventure coming up here next on Friday. Most people will be seeing this on Thursday. You had a pretty good amount of success against the Bonnies you have recently. I believe it's 7 in a row that you've beaten them. They haven't played yet this year. What can you tell us about what you know they have coming back, if you know much at all, in this kind of topsy-turvy way that scouting has to work in college basketball this season?
We were going to actually open up with St. Bonaventure on November 24th or November 25th, and a couple days after we made the agreement to play that game in a non-conference game. It would not have been a game that counts against the Atlantic 10. It would have just been a regular non-conference game. They had their men and their women both test positive and had to be shut down. I believe it was 2 days ago they were able to get back to practice. So they're going to be very similar to us in the fact that their first game is going to be going on 6 or 7 days of practice. And, they have, I believe it's 4 out of their top 6, maybe 5 out of their top 6 returning. So they know the system that they're going to play. They're a veteran team. And so that won't hurt them too much. The concern for them when they play us is who's going to impose their will. They don't have a lot of size. They don't have a definitive post player like Precious Johnson or Laya Soleil. And we can bring multiple posts in against them. And if we can impose our will with Precious and Laya and Lindsay Leonard and Snasia, I think it's a hard game for Bonaventure. With that being said, we have to limit dribble penetration and make sure that on the catch, we're at their three-pointers, at their three-point shooters on the catch. So we have to limit penetration to the middle. And when they do make that extra pass to kick out, that we are there to pressure their three-point shooters. They return the Johnson girls, a preseason all-conference pick, and is a good player. They've got 3 guards that can really attack you and break you down. And that's why keeping them out of the middle and then being able to get out to shooters is going to be so important.
Well, Dan, thanks a lot for the time. Appreciate it, and wishing you the best of luck painting a Picasso against St. Bonaventure on Friday, all right?
Let's call it a Warhol. We're in Pittsburgh, too.
All right. Good enough.
Thanks, Tim.
Dan Burt, brought to you by Clearway Energy. We'll hear from Amanda Kalin next. Back on the Duquesne University Basketball Coaches Show, Tim Benz with you, brought to you by the Academy Schools. It's Amanda Kalin. We were just talking about her and her game-winning, buzzer-beating shot against St. Francis, which made her an international internet superstar, number 3 on the SportsCenter top 10. Amanda, that had to be fun for you to get some attention for that game winner against St. Francis, huh?
Yeah, that was definitely really exciting. Wasn't expecting it at all, so I was just really excited about it.
Did you catch it live when it happened, or did you need friends and family members to point it out to you that you had made SportsCenter?
I think SportsCenter was showing at like 12 a.m., but I was really tired and I went to bed. But I saw it the next morning, so that was cool.
How many times have you seen it since?
A couple. I don't know. I enjoyed kind of watching it and just seeing everybody's reaction.
When you see the shot go in after it initially gets thrown right back at you, what was your reaction and how did you feel?
Yeah, well, during that whole time, I honestly wasn't really thinking. I knew I kind of wanted the ball back, and I kind of drove to the hoop, and just it came right back into my hands, and I like kind of threw it right back up. And normally I don't have any reaction, but I had a little ounce of excitement in me, which was like not like me. And then everybody stormed me, and I wanted everybody off me.
That's right. Libby's already hurt. You don't need to get hurt at the bottom of the pile, right?
Yeah.
How have you gotten around that, by the way, not having Libby? You guys were talked about quite a bit together coming into this season and what you could do together as a tandem. And now you've had to play the first couple games and who knows, maybe some more without her. How are you personally dealing with that? And how is the team getting around that injury?
Yeah, it's definitely difficult because point guard is a very important position. They kind of like push the tempo and set the pace for the game. But, we just had to adapt without her and kind of work our spacing out with transition and work new people into the mix, but we're figuring it out as we go.
Who have you found, and is it partially yourself too, that has adopted some of the running the point role without her?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like a true point guard, but I've had to step in here and there and kind of run it because I want to be that person that steps in and make everybody else kind of more comfortable. So I'm okay with running the point like here and there when it needs to happen.
One thing Dan told us about your game was the fearlessness with which you are willing to attack the rim, and that certainly appeared to be the case on that game winner against St. Francis. You went in among the trees there and didn't seem the least bit concerned about the height you were going up against.
Yeah, I like my chances attacking better, and I just kind of know that attacking creates not only for myself but for my teammates, because if everybody collapses, then I can kick it out.
Let's talk a little bit about what's coming up next against St. Bonaventure. You guys have had success against them, 7 straight wins against them, had 2 good performances against St. Bonaventure last year. They bring back some familiar names and faces. How difficult is it, or has it been, to scout teams so far? What with the jagged nature of the scheduling so far in college basketball?
It's definitely difficult because we don't have as much film. Teams aren't playing as many games. Games sometimes get canceled here and there, but it's kind of just about going out and just playing basketball and sticking to the fundamentals. As long as you know what you're doing on defense and stuff like that, and you know the right way to guard stuff, it should all work out.
For your own purposes, kind of self-scouting, what have you found about the way the team has come together in the first 2 games? Are you finding out nuances about individual players, how they've gotten better, some of the new additions, what they're like? Have you gotten a sense of that through 8 quarters so far?
Yeah, it's definitely was hard not having the 2 scrimmages that we normally have and kind of not being there in the summer. But I think we're all kind of working through it, and we're kind of trying to build chemistry with one another. But that'll just come as we play more games with one another.
Now, you're a local kid. You're from Pine Richland, Gibsonia. One of the advantages of playing close to home is normally you can have your parents and your family members around, friends at every game. If that were normally the case, has that been hard as an adjustment to not play in front of fans so far?
I kind of personally find that wasn't a hard adjustment, because once you're out there like playing, you're not really thinking about all the outside noise. You're kind of just into the game.
What'd your friends and family members have to say about your big shot?
They were really excited, like me.
Who reached out to you the quickest?
Probably my mom. My mom's one of my big supporters, but also my boyfriend, David, was really excited. He's probably my biggest supporter.
I mean, you were right between, what was it, like a Texas game winner and then Clemson and South Carolina, right? That's not a bad spot to be in as far as a little pub, right?
Yeah.
Last thing before we go here, as far as, sort of the overall attention of Duquesne and where you guys are on the college landscape, this looks like a team that could be really good in the A-10 this year. As we've talked about before, it's a weird season in terms of how everybody is tracking college basketball, but especially these early season games, to sort of get on the right path and make sure you have the right foot going forward throughout all the testing and all that. Like, how important are these first 5 to 10 games in that regard?
They are really important, but I think it's most important to be mentally sound and just take things one day at a time, because things can change at any moment. So all these first couple of games are kind of finding your footing, finding team chemistry, and really preparing before we start conference play.
Amanda, thanks. Really do appreciate the time. Glad you could join us, and best of luck against St. Bonaventure. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Amanda Kalin has been our guest here, brought to you by the Academy Schools. Right now, it's time to go behind the numbers, brought to you by Snyder Downs. In Duquesne's first win of the season against St. Francis, the Dukes were led by Amanda Kalin's career-high 25 points. The senior guard from Gibsonia's game-winning layup as time expired was selected as the number 3 play on SportsCenter's top 10 plays after the game. Kalin averaged 10.2 points per game a season ago and looks to lead the Dukes offensively, with Libby Baszlik missing time due to injury. That'll do it for this week's show. Thank you again for joining us. Next week, we'll catch up with Duquesne men's basketball coach Keith Dambrot here on the Duquesne University Basketball Coaches Show. Between now and then, have a good one, everybody.